So there's a line in Scripture that says, the peace that passes all understanding. And that sounds powerful. And the peace that surpasses all understanding. I wonder what that is. I think maybe I'd like to have some of that. It actually came from Philippians 4, and which of course Jesus knew. 6:7. Yep. And actually, it's you got to take it in context. And it's New Testament, so it's about Jesus and the Jesus story, which I'm in favor of. But it's not some of the stuff that Jesus said. The stuff that Jesus said is in my red letter Bible in red letters. And that's the stuff that I find to be really juicy and really meaty. And when I look at the way that I want to follow the Christian teachings, it's I want to do what Jesus said to do, and I want to do what Jesus did. And then there's other parts of the Bible which are things that other people said that Jesus meant, or that other people should do because of what Jesus thought. And that's what this is. The Philippians is actually a letter from Paul, who had started this church in, I believe, Philippi, and he left, and then he got thrown in prison. So he was trying to encourage the people in the church to keep going, because this is kind of the time when the Christians were being thrown to lions and stuff, and it was not a popular time. So you really had to have some fortitude to stay in Christianity. And so what he said in Philippians 4, verse 4, "Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say, rejoice. Let your reasonableness be known to everyone. The Lord is at hand. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." He's pretty emphatic. He really wanted them to keep following Jesus' teaching, especially since there was some stuff that was going on. But this is very aspirational. He wasn't guaranteeing this. He was hoping for this. And he was trying to encourage other people to hope for this as well. Continues, "Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. What you have learned and received and heard and seen in me, practice these things, and the God of peace will be with you." Please, oh please keep doing this. And have you ever found yourself knowing something and having somebody who's dealing with an issue and just wanting them to continue? Persevere. Keep your chin up. Keep going. Keep moving. It gets better. And that's what he's talking about in there. And being aspirational, the peace that surpasses all understanding. All understanding? One of my teachers would say, the peace that surpasses all human understanding. How do I know? How do I know what all human understanding is? Is there a peace that surpasses my understanding? Let's start with that. What is the peace that surpasses my understanding? And then, and this is a question for everybody, what does peace look like to you? What does peace look like at all? Do you think we all agree on what peace is? Or what could be peace or peaceful? Is it possible for you right now or this afternoon or for the next month to be peaceful? Can you be at peace? Have you heard there's a lot of stuff going on in the world around us? There's a lot of things that keep showing up in stories and headlines and news and urgent emails that start with a problem and then ask for a donation. There's a lot of that. So with all of that going on, can you be at peace? Bigger question. Can you be at peace when others around you are not at peace? Why is that an important question? Because if I can be at peace when the people around me are not at peace, then on the one hand, I get to be a beneficial presence. I get to be that steady point in the middle of this maelstrom, this hurricane of agitation or upset or problem or difficulty. So I get to be a beneficial presence for what's going on for everyone. But more selfishly, if I cannot be at peace when people around me are not at peace, then I am not in control of my own destiny. I'm letting the people around me decide whether or not I can be peaceful. And that's a real slippery slope. And it seems uncaring if I remain peaceful and the people around me are not peaceful. But this spirituality thing, this creating your new experience thing, this is an inside job. If I can't be peaceful and centered and focused about the good that I'm inviting into the world, if I can't start there, if I'm just looking at the stories that are going on in the world around me, oh, that's a problem, this is a difficulty, that's peaceful, that's angry, that's whatever, then I'm wrapped up in the story. And I can't rise above it. Is it possible for you to be peaceful when people anywhere are not peaceful? And that's a trick question. And it seems a little easier to understand because we all know that somewhere in the world there's something that's not peaceful. There's someone that's not peaceful. Is it possible for me to be peaceful and still honor the disagreement that I have with the people around me? That I can be in a situation where I'm face to face with somebody who's saying something, believing something, doing something that I don't agree with. And you've had relationships with people, you know, where you agree to disagree. No, I'm not on board with that at all. Can we remain at peace instead of giving up our equilibrium, giving up our peace of mind, giving up ourselves because of the other person? It's one of the things that makes me most amused about the Bible is the constant perception that we have to behave because otherwise we're going to anger God. We don't want to anger God because God will punish us. That is nonsense. And the reason that's nonsense, I'm going to go into the actual details of why that's nonsense, is because God is an infinite creative power. God or spirit or nature or the Big Bang or whatever is the creative source of everything that exists everywhere. And not just me and the people in this room and the people in the area, the ones who are joining us on Zoom, but this entire planet, this entire solar system, this entire galaxy, all of the galaxies in this universe, all created by that one divine power and presence. So, it's big. And the thought that I can do something that's going to make that infinite creative power pissed off puts me in charge of the relationship. What kind of infinite creative power is going to give me their power? To get angry because of something that I did or thought or said. So the challenge for us is to remember that it's an inside job. That peace is available regardless of what's going on in the world around us. And we're not going to piss off God if we don't do what the people around us say to do. Then the question becomes, what do we do? So you might have heard in the news this week, there was an assassination. Charlie Kirk was assassinated in Utah. And I can hardly believe that I am mentioning Charlie Kirk from my pulpit because I did not agree with anything he said. I also don't agree with political violence. I don't think assassination is a way to solve a problem. I don't think that that leads to peace or understanding or harmony or uplift in any direction. I also don't agree with the political theater that resulted from the whole thing, as the people on the right blamed Antifa, and the people on the left all said political violence has to stop. It's like, well, there's an imbalance that's going on here. You know, and because the shooter apparently on the shell casings wrote stuff about not liking fascists. Got labeled, oh, this is another Antifa. It's like, okay, we've heard this before. Antifa, bad. DEI, bad. But as Breen suggested, if you break it down into diversity, equity, and inclusion, are you against diversity? Well, no. Are you against equity? Where everybody gets the same chance? Well, no. Are you against inclusion? Well, no, I think everybody should be invited to belong. Okay, so it's a nonsense claim because you put a label on it. It's DEI, so it's bad. Antifa, which means anti-fascist. Okay, raise your hand if you're in favor of fascism. Okay? Anybody who thinks a little more fascism would make your life better? No. So it's the labels that are getting put on there. It's not popular to say that you're against fascism. I don't know why. I'm still not going to change my mind. I think fascism is bad. Personal opinion. There are people who disagree with me. I'll have a conversation. And the question, as we talk about the peace that surpasses all understanding, is what is peace worth? If you could buy peace, would you go out and buy some? And how much would it cost? And we talk not just about the price like in dollars, but it's the price in spiritual coin. What am I going to put into this spiritually and emotionally and mentally to bring about this experience of peace? Or opportunity cost, which is how businesses talk about stuff. Yes, we can invest in this, but then we won't have the money to invest in something else. The opportunity cost is what do you give up? So what would you give up for peace? Because there are people who say that you can have peace, all you need to do is surrender. Put your arms in the air, give up, do what we say, and you can have peace. Does that work? Generally not. You can do it, try appeasement. Try and figure out what they want that will keep them from being mad at you so you can have peace. We can try avoidance. This is sounding like all of the things that you do with the fight, flight, or, or appease. There's violence as a possibility. I don't know that that's going to work either. And I can't tell you what the answer is. I can't tell you what the answer is for you. We all get to figure that out for ourselves. What is the peace that surpasses my understanding? So for some reason I woke up very early this morning and I found myself reading Ralph Waldo Emerson's address to the Harvard Divinity School. And this was a notorious thing. It was he was a Unitarian minister, and he had kind of taken himself out of Unitarian ministry because he didn't agree with a lot of the Christian doctrine. And this speech that he gave in 1830-something was the last time he was invited to speak at the Harvard Divinity School because he basically ticked them off. And he had a couple of points that he made. And the biggest point that he made is that all of the scripture and all of the teaching and that was going on in Christianity was in the past tense, about God being in the past and all of these stories being in the past. And what we need to do is read Philippians from the Bible, and that's the last word. And he said, it's not. It's not true. It's ongoing. He said, God is, not was. He that speaketh, not spake. The true Christianity, a faith like Christ's in the influence of man, is lost. We need to reclaim that. And he was facing uncertainty, like a brand new country that still had slavery. There have been some stuff that's happened since then. And still the same sorts of challenges come along. How can I be peaceful? What can I do to bring peace into my life, into my world, into my community, into my environment, into my world? The joke that I make is the one thing that will unite humanity more instantaneously than anything else is smart space aliens. Another species shows up here and they're smarter than we are, suddenly we're all the same. Suddenly we are all the same. And no, I am not hoping for that. It'd be interesting. My sci-fi nerd part says that could be fun. Depends on what they show up wanting. But the other thing that's really important to me as I'm looking at the things around me that I consider to be not peaceful is what's the metaphysics of that? Because in metaphysics, what we do is we speak our word of intention, our word of invitation. We create a belief and state a belief, and we give voice to that, and that becomes creative. So one of the things that is completely not lost on me is that one of the things that Charlie Kirk believed very strongly, and he talked about a lot, is that there should be guns allowed on campus. Whoops, maybe one fewer would have been better for him. That was something he talked about all the time as he made appearances on college campuses. So he was a believer in exactly what it was that became his own personal downfall. Am I going to do that to say nya nya? No, I'm not. I'm going to say that's metaphysically the way that it works, and the universe showing a little irony. Whenever we're dealing with a situation that's not going the way that we believe is going to be peaceful, that's going to be harmonious, that's uplifting, that's what we're looking for, look at the metaphysics. Look at what would be happening instead if that weren't happening? Look at the beliefs that are behind whatever it is that's been happening, and how did that come about? So what happened this week was about violence for political gain. Somebody was making a political statement using violence. And was that the only place that was going on this week? Well, no. There's this whole thing that you might have heard about going on between Russia and Ukraine, where Russia decided a few years ago that it really wanted something politically, and it was going to take it by violence, by force. And that continues to be ongoing. And in that situation, for us, it's really easy to see who the good guys and the bad guys are. Yay, Ukraine. Free Ukraine. And that's a perspective. And I understand that. And there are other people, maybe not that many, maybe people who I completely disagree with, who want it to go the other way. There are others which are much more of a quagmire. There's what's going on with Israel and Hamas and the Palestinians. Because I look at that and I say, well, Israel and Hamas, who's right and who's wrong? Well, Hamas attacked first, and then Israel overreacted, and now the Palestinian, all of the people are, so it's a thing. What does peace look like there? What does peace look like there? I don't know. There are a lot of people who believe that immigration, illegal immigrants, are a problem in this country. And we have seen what happens when that turns to political violence to get the let's get immigration under control. And that's not okay with me either. Yes, if there's a problem, let's solve the problem, let's address and identify the problem, and then take steps to correct it, but not necessarily resort to political violence. So the question for you is, what's worth taking a stand? What is worth taking a stand? What is worth, as Ernest Holmes said, looking a fact in the face and knowing something better? So, and just for fun, I started going through what are the things that are under attack now. And I came up with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Because there's something in all of these, every level of this, that's under attack. Self-actualization, creativity, personal growth, moral development, pursuit of meaning, purpose-driven action, peak experience, joy, transcendence, and insight. As soon as we give up our peace and peace of mind, we lose that one. The next one down is esteem, self-respect, confidence, respect from others, reputation, recognition, and achievement. There is so much name-calling going on in the world around us, that's under attack. What kind of a world do I want to live in? What kind of a world do we want to live in? The next one down from there is love and belonging. Family, friendship, community, romantic relationships, group membership, affection, and intimacy. There's a huge amount of us versus them that's going on in our country now. Divisiveness. You know, who would you vote for, or what do you believe in, or who do you back? And it turns into all of the yelling. I have noticed that when I listen to the news, there will be a question from a reporter that says, we've taken away all of the funding for X. And it could be something about vaccines, or it could be something about the weather service, or it could be something about anything, disaster preparedness. What are we doing? And the response is, we are committed to being prepared for disasters. We are committed to keeping people healthy. We are committed to making the children safe. And there's nothing behind it. So when I look at that sort of theater going on, I want to know where can I take a stand? What is it that I'm able to do in this? Getting down towards the bottom of the pyramid, it gets even more obvious. Safety needs, personal security, no violence, crime, or war, health and well-being, stable environment, financial security, safety nets. Okay, you're probably seeing where that's coming in. And then the bottom one is air, water, food, shelter, clothing, sleep, reproduction. Reverend Bill, you're a real downer this morning. Why are you bringing this up on Sunday? We're going to hear about it again on Monday. And the reason that I do that is just to point out that all of this stuff is under attack. So my inbox is filled with people who are talking about this issue or that issue and this issue and the other issue. And I agree with them all. And I support them all. And it's overwhelming. It can be overwhelming to try and deal with that, to try and maintain my peace and peace of mind. I've been involved in some of the protests. And it's really interesting because you go to the protests and everybody's protesting something different. They're protesting ICE and immigration raids. They're protesting giving personal data to private individuals. They're protesting the military being used against the citizens in our country. And they're all very valid protests. And it seems scattered, but it's not. It's not. The thing that we get to do, look a fact in the face and know something better. What is it going to take for me to be that presence of peace? Not just to be peaceful for myself, but to bring that peace into the world, to be that beneficial presence, who can look at whatever it is that's going on and say, no, not in my country, not on my watch. I'm looking that fact in the face and knowing something better. I'm saying no, and I'm standing up and I'm letting my voice be heard, and I'm going to be persistent about it. And I'm not just going to do that by standing on the corner in Ardmore, which I've done, or by marching around Independence Mall, which I've done. The part for me is to start in consciousness, to start using that same creative principle that has created everything. Is peace possible? Well, I can wring my hands and look at the news and say, I don't know how this could possibly work out. Then again, I don't know that I would have been able to create a universe filled with billions of galaxies just starting with infinite energy. But that worked. So I got to say, yeah, the peace that I am seeking is possible. It's a universe of infinite possibilities. So when I identify that which I want to be experiencing, that which I would prefer, and I set my intention for that, and I let go of the distraction and the negation that it's not possible, that it can't happen, the people who are against it are too powerful. They might be too powerful for me. They're not too powerful for the infinite. We can take that message from Paul to the Philippians, to keep our attention focused on the divine, to keep ourselves aware that there is this new possibility unfolding. Let ourselves be guided into what's ours to do, and keep at it. Don't be distracted. Don't be discouraged. Find your people. Mutual support's always wonderful. Know the truth. You, we, everyone, love unfolding in its own unique way, and we all deserve peace and harmony and uplift and good. And so it is.